again, everyone. Yes, my presentation is on the Primorska region of Slovenia, which is also known as the Slovene littoral region. Kelly, if you could zoom in on that and its spelling. Yes, so the littoral region actually stretches all the way into Austria, but we're going to obviously be focusing on the Slovenian part of it more than anything, and kind of what that entails and what the Slovenes call the Primorska region. So this region, it basically is the western side of Slovenia, and it stretches all the way from the Adriatic Sea to the northwestern side of Slovenia to the Julian Alps. It actually contains two provinces within this region, which is the Goriška province and the Slovenian Istria province. And the Goriška province is more like the northwestern part, which is places like Nova Gorica and Knal and those like cities, whereas the Slovenian Istria is the southwestern part, which is more the coastal cities like Koper, Piran, Portorož, and also some of the non-coastal cities like Lipica. So yeah, so Kelly, once again, you could zoom in on this map. So like I said, it's all the western side of Slovenia, as you can see from this map. And it reaches all the way up to Bovec, but I know that that's what Autumn was doing her presentation on, so I'm not going to cover this part. We'll learn from her. Thanks for that, Autumn. Yeah, so I'll just mostly focus on this part of the Primorska region. And so just a little bit of a backstory about this region is, so Slovenia, we all know, used to be part of the Habsburg Empire, like up until World War I. And so this Primorska region actually was bigger, and parts of what is now Austria as well as Italy were part of this, but then after World War I and boundaries were redrawn, it was still bigger than it is now. But most of this area actually was taken over by Italy. Not all of it, mostly like, I don't know, the border cities, and probably out to like Audovština, because I don't think it hit places like Postojna or Crkno. But they had forced Italianization for all the Slovenes, and so basically it was under Italian rule, and that's why even to this day they have two official languages for this region, which is Italian and Slovenian, because they still teach some of their schools in Italian, as well as some of their churches still have services, and some of the governments in some of the cities are actually like done in Italian. So there's two official languages to this area. It also explains the architecture in this area is a lot more Italian and more Baroque than in the rest of Slovenia, just because of that forced Italianization up until the end of World War II. And actually during that time, it was like kind of they were forced to like forget all of their Slovene culture. So a lot of the Slovenes would try and escape into other parts of Yugoslavia in order to kind of keep their culture and their heritage. But yeah, so after World War II, it, borders were redrawn once again, and Slovenia became a part, modern Slovenia, what is Slovenia now, became part of Yugoslavia. And because of that, the Primorska region in Slovenia actually lost the city of Trieste or Terst to Italy, which a lot of them are still very salty about and still kind of wish they had that in Slovenia. So that was a loss. So the Primorska region kind of got smaller after World War II. Okay, so the geography of this region. Obviously, we can all translate what Primorska means. It's by the sea. Wow, who would have thought? And so a lot of, this area is by the coast, and It kind of is characterized by not having like sandy beaches, but they're more like pebble beaches with like cliffs that kind of just drop off. So that's kind of how the coastal cities work, as well as a lot of caves, because the Primorska region actually reaches all the way out to Postojna. So that includes areas like the Postojna caves, obviously, but in between them and like the coast is the Skocian caves. This is actually a picture of the Postojna caves, but so Skocian and Postojna. So there's actually quite a bit of caves in this region all by itself. As well as vineyards and olive fields kind of are what covers all the hills, especially up in the north western part of Slovenia, so like in the Karst region. So yeah, that's like Novogorica, and that area just has a lot of vineyards and olive fields. What's my time at?
6:05.
Okay. So, the climate. It's a moderate continental climate, which means it is close to being a Mediterranean climate, but it's not. Because this part of the Adriatic Sea, like the Dalmatian coast, is actually the coldest part, just kind of like the little pocket where Slovenia and like Italy are. It's the coldest part, so it's not quite a Mediterranean climate, so it is a moderate continental climate. So the summers average 80 degrees or above, and winters rarely drop below 50 degrees, just kind of being on the coast moderates that. Yeah, it's pretty warm on this side of Slovenia compared to the rest, with very mild winters. So the flora and the fauna. So it's covered in brushwood, kind of as you move out into that area, as well as olives and vineyards and even some cactus. So it's a lot more of the drier plants that don't require as much water in this area. This picture, I don't know if you can zoom in enough on this picture, but it's in the city of Canal, and it has like the brushwood growing everywhere. Yes, so for the wildlife there, I couldn't find a lot about like the specific wildlife that live in this specific region of Slovenia. Like there wasn't even a list about like the marine life there, but there is marine life, and there's dolphins. Found that out. You can go swim with them. They have like tours for it, as well as something that's special to Postojna, which is the olms, which are the little cute dragon dudes that they advertise the caves with. Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of like marine life, but compared to the rest of the Adriatic Sea, there's not as much because it is colder in this part. So it kind of like, it has its marine life, but nothing like specific to this area. So the economy of this area. So this area, compared to the rest of Slovenia, is like very economically like flourishing. The only like place that's beating it is obviously Ljubljana. So like this part of Slovenia is just booming pretty much. And a lot of that is because of wine, which is in the upper region, so the northwestern region of Primorska, and that's like the Karst region. Not the Karst region, but like the Karst province. That's what they call it. And so there's just a lot of money that comes in from wine and wine tours and wineries, all that lovely stuff. And the next like thing that really brings in a lot of money is tourism. I just said that like a Slovene. That was weird. Sorry. Tourism. Yes. Yeah, tourism. So that's places like the caves, so Postojna and Skocian. Those bring a lot of tourists because I think Postojna is the largest cave in all of Europe, like underground at least. And then the coastal cities like Piran and Koper and Portorož bring in a lot of tourists, and they make a lot of money in like the hotel business as well as with casinos. So tourism is a pretty big industry there. And then marine like life and like fishing and fisheries, they actually don't make too much money off of that compared to the other things on this list. But it's because like they have to compete with like Croatia and Italy for the coast, so oftentimes they aren't gathering as much fish, and they also don't really have a lot of coast, so it's not really making a lot of money off of that. And then salt making, in a town called Sicaliae, it's kind of close to Koper. They have like a bunch of like salt mines and salt fields, so there's just like a ton of that, and I'm guessing the salt comes from the ocean, and they make bank off of that. As well as agriculture, because this is a warmer region of Slovenia, they're able to grow a lot more like fruits, and of course there's olives that they grow, and then they make money off of the wine, and so the agricultural part, you make a lot of money there. So they have a wide variety of like business things, and also another thing, I guess this would maybe go under tourism, but in Lipica, which is on this side of Slovenia, which is famous for its horses, because the name of the horse, Lipizaner horse, originated in Slovenia, so they have like, I'm guessing, some sort of trade with that, as well as like festivals with the horses, so I think that probably would fall under tourism. But that is also unique, to this area. Yes, but this is the Primorska Region of Slovenia, and it's great. It's my favorite region. If you have any questions, you can message me, and I will try and answer them. But thank you all for listening, and yeah.